In 2022, Europe and the United States suffered from severe natural disasters that severely affected the economy and people's lives. And one of the most serious disasters this year is Hurricane Fiona. So, what was the aftermath of Fiona after its devastating landings in Puerto Rico and Canada? Let's find out in today's video. Laments: the aftermath of Hurricane Fiona. Now, for the second time in 5 years, a hurricane has ravaged the island. In 2017, Hurricane Maria, a Category 4 monster, was one of the strongest hurricanes to hit Puerto Rico in nearly a century. This time, it's Fiona, technically a weaker Category 1 hurricane, but still strong enough to destroy power grids, flood towns, large and small, collapse bridges, destroy crops, and displace 3.3 million residents. The people on the island lack water, food, medicine, everything. It's a familiar scenario: suffering, lamenting, courage, realizing that Puerto Rico feels powerless. Fiona made landfall in southwestern Puerto Rico last Saturday afternoon. It was the first storm to make landfall here since September 20, 2017, when Maria killed thousands and caused months-long power outages for many of the island's more than 3 million residents. Island. 10 days after Hurricane Fiona swept Puerto Rico, bringing more than 30 inches of rain and killing at least 3 people, hundreds of thousands of customers on the island remain without power. According to Power Outage US, a website that aggregates data from utilities across the United States, as of Wednesday morning, when most people's eyes were on Hurricane Ian moving over Cuba, approximately 345,000 customers in Puerto Rico are without electricity. This is down from 1.5 million electricity customers who lost power on Saturday, about a week after Hurricane Fiona, then a Category 1 hurricane hit. At least 3 people died and 2 were injured last week in accidents involving power outages. A candle flame burned down a house in San Juan, killing 2 people and injuring 1. Another person died and another was taken to hospital after being intoxicated with smoke from a generator. The Puerto Rican government on Saturday said up to 16 people had died as a direct or indirect result of the storm, although at least a dozen of those cases are still under investigation. Restoring power to customers after a storm can be a complex endeavor, sometimes requiring time, but Puerto Rico, an island with an aging and fragile electricity grid, has become notoriously vulnerable to power outages and lengthy recovery times in recent years. While Hurricane Fiona brought flooding and strong winds across the island, the damage to its power grid was not as obvious as it was after Hurricane Maria. But some Puerto Ricans who pay some of the highest electricity rates in the US say they don't have the patience to accept another extended blackout. Hurricane Fiona dumped all of Puerto Rico with heavy rain, more than 30 inches, in some areas in the southern and central mountains, and caused more widespread flooding than the historic 2017 hurricane. Much of the island's rainfall then during the Marian period which devastated Puerto Rico with winds of up to 160 miles per hour. Even before Hurricane Fiona made landfall in Puerto Rico on September 18, it managed to knock down the island's fragile power grid. It came as a Category 1 hurricane at a time when Puerto Ricans were marking the 30th anniversary of Hugo and the 5th anniversary of Hurricane Maria. This time, the devastation came less from the wind than from the water. Some areas to the south get more than 2 feet of rain. Mud flooded roads and rivers flooded houses and washed away bridges. Hurricanes have repeatedly devastated Utuado, a town in the mountains of central Puerto Rico. In 2017, Hurricane Maria swept away a bridge that locals depended on. A temporary bridge replaced it. But this year, Hurricane Fiona washed away this temporary bridge, an act that seemed symbolic of the short-term repairs and slow rebuilding efforts that have affected the U.S. territory. As of Maria, the Federal Recovery Fund has been primarily for emergency response, not infrastructure, and has largely remained unspent. Fiona has hit Puerto Rico and other parts of the Caribbean, killing at least 8 people and blacking out nearly all of Puerto Rico's 3.3 million people in a severe heat wave. Like Dorian in 2019 and Juan in 2003, Fiona is predicted to be a hurricane of historical proportions, one of the largest to make landfall in eastern Canada. Hurricane Fiona made a multi-week journey through the Caribbean, Western Atlantic, and Eastern Canada in mid to late September. The storm drenched parts of the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic before bringing record low pressure and gusts above 100 miles per hour to eastern Canada. After surging north from the Caribbean as a hurricane, Fiona came ashore before dawn, Saturday as a post-tropical cyclone, hitting Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and Quebec with hurricane-force winds, heavy rain, and big waves. Fiona made landfall near Whitehead, Nova Scotia, on the morning of September 24 as a recent transitional extratropical cyclone with hurricane-force winds. Environment Canada assessed Fiona's maximum sustained winds at the time of landfall at around 105 miles per hour, 165 kilometers per hour. These winds may be equivalent to a Category 2 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. It could be the strongest storm in Canadian history as measured by barometric pressure. Powerful Storm Fiona tore through eastern Canada on Saturday with hurricane-force winds, forced evacuations, toppled trees and power lines, and reduced many homes on the coast to just one wreckage in the ocean. Fiona tore through Canada's eastern seaboard with hurricane force after making landfall in Nova Scotia on Saturday, sending the region high winds and high tides. The Canadian Hurricane Center says it has recorded possibly the lowest barometric pressure of any hurricane to make landfall in the country's history. Authorities in the province have declared a state of emergency for the town amid several electric fires, floods, and residential flash floods. Insured losses from Fiona in Canada are estimated at CAD 300 to 700 million. The Canadian military has been dispatched to assist in overcoming the devastation caused by Hurricane Fiona, which swept away homes, tore off roofs, and caused power outages across the country's Atlantic provinces. Defense Minister Anita Anand said on Saturday that the military would help remove fallen trees and other debris, restore transport links, and do whatever else is required in the time needed. She did not specify how many troops would be deployed. Fiona has been blamed for at least 5 deaths in the Caribbean, but there have been no confirmed deaths or serious injuries in Canada. Police say a woman who may have been swept away has been listed as missing in the town of Channel Port Aux, Basques of Newfoundland's south coast. The Canadian Hurricane Center tweeted that Fiona had the lowest pressure ever recorded for a hurricane to make landfall in Canada. Forecasters have warned it could be one of the strongest storms to hit the country. Maybe Fiona's damage isn't as great as hurricanes like Maria or Ian. However, the damage it leaves behind is not only physical but also mental. No citizen expected the storm to take their lives and their loved ones. This is probably the biggest pain not only Fiona but also other natural disasters have caused millions of families. The recent information also ended today's video. Thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share and subscribe button to receive the latest notifications about our videos. Goodbye and see you in the next videos.